So, Vanakkam, Namaskaram, good morning. Welcome to IIT and to RAAIF Talks. Being part of the RAAIF family, I should welcome you on behalf of my colleagues in RAAIF. I don't know whether Krish is here. Yeah, you're there. And Sukruti. First, thanks to all of them for having invited me over. After that marvelous talk on the universe, we'll get to planet Earth and India. While I was just entering the hall, a young lady asked me, I don't know whether she's here, why did you title your talk as Innovation for National Competitiveness? I asked her a counter question. What, according to you, in the last century, was the most important event for this part of the world, that is India? Probably she was taken aback, she couldn't respond. Then I had to prompt her. What happened when I asked her, when were you born? She said 1994. I said, yes, you might not remember 1947. According to me, that was the most important event that happened in India. And her question was, why did you choose the topic? I said, I chose this topic because we are probably already partially lost our independence or are about to lose our independence. Why? I'm going to place some facts before you which are given by the government agencies in India, and also some of my thoughts in these few minutes. Hope to finish in the next about 12 minutes, and then we'll have time for question and answers. So we are talking of what is enshrined in our constitution. That's the starting point. Liberty, freedom, independence, very large ideals, dignity, honor, grace, very, very large ideals for human beings. In fact, I'm sure all of us realize that history of India shows that there have been hundreds and thousands of people who are willing to lay their lives on the line, but they would never compromise on their dignity, honor, freedom, and independence. So we are talking of ideals which are perhaps larger than the concept of individual human life. Let's not even talk about collective national human life. It's going to be very difficult. But why is this important? Here's the first report that is about food in India as seen by a very developed country which, in my opinion, wishes to be the master of this planet. Okay, I guess all of you know which country this is, and I refuse to accept masters. Okay. Now this view says, and I'm reading out straight from the report, around 6 million of India's households are considered to be rich and spend more than US $28 billion per year. I hope this is sinking in. Okay. 6 million considered to be rich, spending more than 28 billion per year. India is the world's 12th largest consumer market. I want you to remember these facts at least for a few minutes, because what's going to come is going to be very interesting. India is now, at least now means this is dated somewhere around 2012. Okay, so we're not too far away, at least not light years. Okay. India is now the 12th largest consumer market in the world. It ranks as the third largest economy in the world measured as an individual political state, 2012. Third largest. Now comes the shocker. Per capita gross domestic product, GDP, on a PPP basis, purchasing power parity. All young people should know what is this PPP. It talks of a standard basket of goods and the price at which that set of goods is available in different markets. So the country with the least price for that defined basket of goods is the best. I hope you agree with the logic. Okay? I'm paying the lowest price or value for that basket of goods. Per capita GDP, PPP, India's rank is 164 in the world. Now what do these two last facts that I shared with you mean? The 12th largest consumer market, the third largest economy, 2012, and 164th rank in terms of GDP per capita. I'm not here to talk about communism and socialism. I want to talk common sense. What does this reveal to us? An obvious inference is that we are an extremely skewed society in terms of our wealth distribution. I mean extremely skewed. This does not augur well for any society with the kind of population I'm going to describe now. So it says India's per capita GDP, PPP, ranks at 164th in the world, indicative of such a larger population and income disparities. The median age in India is rising over time, but is still relatively low, only 25 years in 2012, which is a phenomenal, it's a knife. You don't know which way it's going to cut. Okay. 25 years is the median age. We're not talking of average age. Remember, average is a very, very bad number. Arithmetic average is good for statistical, mathematical purposes. But when it comes to real economic data, believe me, I do teach data analysis. Average is a lousy figure. It's like saying, I often repeat this humor. I put one hand in boiling water, one hand in freezing water. On the average, I'm okay. So, it's as stupid as that, okay? So, median age is 25 years. There will be 400 to 500 million people in the workforce before 2025. And this is going to be very interesting for all the women. If female empowerment takes off, that figure might increase to 600 to 700 million in the workforce. Remember, our population is roughly 1.2 billion and growing. We're talking of more than half the population working, which is socially a very good situation. Okay? Socially, it's a very good situation. Now, let's move away a little bit from all this. I'm going to bring you down to breakfast and Kellogg's. A few years ago, in fact, definitely more than a decade ago, when Kellogg's entered the Indian market, the president said that we are here to change the breakfast habits of Indians. And they've done it, by God. In urban India, I'm sure they've made enough inroads. I'm not against people eating Kellogg's. Definitely not wrong. Okay? But please don't forget your idli, pongal, upma, sambar, dosa, etc. They're also quite valuable. And they were also invented by pretty sharp people, as sharp as the best scientists in Kellogg. They believe that rising income levels, increasing urbanization, changing demographics, increasing consumerism, a significant rise in the number of single men and women professionals, and the availability of cheap credit will continue to push India into a new growth trajectory. By the way, this is a sentence made by a report from another country. They are looking at us and making this statement. It's an official report. These segments of the population are aware of quality differences, insist on world standards, and are willing to pay a premium for quality. So that explains the first part of, what did I say? 6 million people spending $28 billion. And so this is the food export report from the government of the USA. Okay. Now let's come down to India and where she stands. Now I just wanted to touch upon food. Now let's come to high tech, the other end. The agriculture, we have three sectors, no? Primary, secondary and tertiary. Agriculture, manufacturing and services. Okay? Capital goods as well as consumer goods, etc. I'm going to share some quick numbers with you. If you look at the share of manufacturing value added, GDP in select, I'm building a case for innovation and to all the young people here. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm laying the foundation so that your stomach changes, it churns, your heart is pumping hard and saying, let's beat for India. That's the purpose of what I'm trying to do. Share of manufacturing value added in GDP in select developing countries. 1991, 15.2%. 2010, 14.9% in India. Every other country has increased manufacturing value added. And we're not. And to be very blunt, at least my observation, and I hope I'm terribly wrong, is that we are growing into a lazy nation. Let's go further. High-tech exports, percentage of manufactured exports for select countries. Okay? And if you look at this, it's shocking. By the way, this is a report by the Exim Bank, India. So I'm talking of official figures. Okay? High-tech exports, percentage of manufactured exports. Because this is where we are talking of innovation and competitiveness. India comes very, very low. 1991, 4.7%. And we are still around 7% in 2011. Whereas if you look at other countries, I'll talk of Malaysia, has moved from 38 to 44%. And I'm talking of countries. China, from about 21 to about 27. Remember, the larger percentage is on a larger base. In fact, they have said they have not even put the base figure there. Because if you are talking of a larger base, and 27% of a larger base, you can understand what it is. So this is very, very important. And for all youngsters, I want to caution you, anybody talking percentages, be very, very careful. Look at the base. Always. Okay? So it's not 1% or 2%, 1% or 2% of what is very important. Okay? So India is poor on that also. This is high-tech exports. I'll also define what is meant by high-tech exports, because that's exactly the space where we are lacking in innovation and competitiveness. Global technology trade, globally and in India. If I show you the graph, some of you in the front rows will be able to see. This is the global graph. Between import and export 2007, 2011. You can't see the difference between the two. This is India. You see the difference between imports and exports? It's growing. We are importing more than we are exporting. So, ties up many things. These are government figures, not my figures. Okay? So, in short, I'm saying, let's all wake up. Key importers of high-tech products in the world. India's name does not figure in this, despite the fact that our imports and exports are, the gap is growing. We are not in the list of key importers, of top 20 importers. So, which means we're not even in the best of among importers of high-tech. Okay, it's fantastic. Now let's come to top 5 items, key categories of high-tech exports. I'm keeping an eye on the watch. Electronic microcircuits. If you come to electronics, electronic microcircuits, parts and accessories suitable for use solely or principally with the apparatus of telecom and sound recording and reproducing equipment, TV, radio transmitters, digital computers, parts and accessories for use solely or principally with office machines, except photo or thermocopy and automatic data processing machines. These are the top 5 key items. And in pharmaceuticals, glycosides, glands, medicaments, hormones, medicaments, antibiotics, medicaments containing antibiotics, pharmaceutical goods other than medicaments. These are the top 5. Why I talked of electronics and pharmaceuticals is, these are the 2 biggest items in terms of the export market throughout the world. Figures are there. Okay? Electronics and pharmaceuticals. India is nowhere. I'm going to give you more figures. Major exporters of high-tech products in the world. Again, India is nowhere in the list of about 25. So we are neither in the top part of 25 countries of imports, neither in the top 25 countries of exports. अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं. Okay, I'm not against any political party. First understand which din you are in. Then we'll talk about अच्छे दिन and बुरे दिन. Okay. Major high-tech items traded in the world. Again, list is there. Electronic microcircuits, parts, telecom, TV, radio transmitters, digital computers, parts and accessories of use solely or principally with office machines, blah, blah, blah. Diodes, transistors, LCDs, lasers, glycosides, glands, airplanes, other electric power machines. Major high-tech items traded in the world. India is nowhere. Okay? I'm not going to bore you with more data. I think the signal is straight. The data is straight. The data belongs to the government of India. Okay? I'm not going to bore you any further with these things. The report is there. I would like you to go and read this report sometime if possible. Okay? In fact, I had some fantastic things about competition, which was very interesting, because that was part of my title, Innovation for National Competitiveness. I'm going to just spend a few minutes on both these terms, innovation and national competitiveness. I've never tired of sharing in many fora that India's rank in global competitiveness, which is dominated by high tech, is a pathetic 140 out of 170. And we have the nerve to lift our collars. I would like to ask this audience, are we truly so shameless? I'm not provoking you, because I'm giving you facts. I'm feeling the sense of shame in me. A country with brilliant people, individually, is collectively mediocre. What is the paradox? Where is this paradox? Why is this paradox existing? Why are we such a mediocre country with brilliant people? So this is a question I want you to ask. I know there are many answers. I know there are people in this audience who are bursting with answers. But the tragedy is this tragedy which we have built, and that we have forgotten 1947. Okay? Now let's go on this. If you look at various, I'm just going to, these tables, I'm just going to take a few seconds. Product description, India's exports, annual growth rate, world imports, annual growth rate, share of India. I'm just going to read out. Zeroth hormone, share of India, 0.31%. Gas or smoke analysis apparatus, 0.18%. Parts, diodes, LCDs, 0.10%. It's 0.10%. Other instruments and apparatus, especially for telecom, 0.2%. Thyristors, diacs, triacs, etc. Photosensitive devices, 0.13%. In fact, on none of these high-tech items, we are touching 0.25%. This is our story. Now, do you see space for innovation? I hope it's very clear where you can innovate now, especially a challenge to all the young people in engineering, science, and technology. You know where to innovate. In fact, the rank which I told you, if you go by the World Economic Forum rank, we are about 60 out of 120. Not bad. But that's not the only rank on competitiveness, because it is defined in a certain way. If you go to other rankings, what I told you is true, 140 out of 170. This is where we are as a country. In fact, if somebody were to infer from what I said, it just means that we are not even fit to compete. Let's not even talk about how well we are competing. We are not fit to compete. Of course, we can win the World Cup in cricket. In a nation that celebrates sports persons and cinema stars, this is the net result, my dear young people. You cannot get out of this bind if you're going to celebrate only sports persons and cinema stars and forget that there are other great people. The problem is with us. National competitiveness, you're very clear. Yeah, I know the rose is coming. Okay? If you want, I'll walk up and take it from you. Okay? I don't mind pricking if there is some thorns in the hearts of the people here. Okay, let's go. This is where we are. Now, very quick, what is innovation? First thing is we must understand the difference between the colloquial use of the word innovation and the technical meaning of innovation, which is widely accepted. Innovation involves, by definition, widespread commercial success. Point number one. Or widespread use of a process or a method. For example, the dill scoop in cricket is an innovation because it's now being used. The reverse sweep is an innovation. The carom ball is an innovation because it's widespread use. Otherwise, it has to have commercial use. So we have to differentiate between creative output and innovation. So we often confuse creative output with innovation. So what we have to do now is creative output. How do you work on that? You have to do reading of the market's mind. You have to give value to the customers globally, which they will cherish. You have to make Made in India a great brand. There are very, very good methods for this. We don't have time to discuss all that, but you can do it. That's the point I'm making. It is possible to get into that space, to compete and get into better regions of competitiveness. This is the point I wanted to make. So you have an idea of where we are on global competitiveness. I hope you remember the figures, put them in your heart, 140 on 170. Work with 1947, the spirit of 47 in your hearts and your minds, and work hard. This is very, very, very important. Work hard, work smart, work fast. I mean, because if you don't compete, the socio-political consequences should be obvious, even to perhaps higher secondary school kids. We will lose our independence in such subtle ways that you will not even know that you've lost it. Okay? So concentrate on creative output, learn how to be creative. There are methods, and become creative, become technologically creative, be sane, and bring some sense of peace into this world. I'll close with this. We have to make India a powerful country, a progressive country, most importantly, a peaceful country through our innovation. And this is feasible, it is possible. I know there are enough brilliant minds and spirits here. You have to get the magic of moving away from individual brilliance to collective brilliance. So that's the secret. Synergy is the secret, and synergy is not possible without sacrifice. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Yasha. Luckily, the thorns have been shaven off. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Brick has other meanings also. Yeah. No questions.
Yes, sir. You have said very good things. I have invented a lot of things for humankind. I am interested to market all the products, but I don't have a proper gateways, proper channel.
What are the organizations you are aware of which deal with either technology or business incubation?
So far, I have taken from TEP, granted for.
No, I asked a very simple question. In your knowledge, what are the organizations you are aware of that are philosophically bound to promote creative output?
One or two organizations.
Which are they?
TEP, Technopreneur. I mean, organization means in private or
any space, government.
I don't know. So far.
Get to know that. Get to know that. There are organizations that are very keen to promote young inventors' product ideas. Okay? And please understand that a single person cannot become an industry, even a startup. One of the basic lessons in management is you have to find out where you need good partners. Because to run a startup, you need lawyers, you need auditors, you need inventors like you need people who will do negotiations. Single person cannot have that kind of thing. Sachin Tendulkar is a myth in the world of business. Please understand that. Sachin Tendulkars do not exist in the world of business. I hope you got that metaphor.
I understood. But
you need partners.
I don't know the way, where to hire, to tap.
Just simple, sir. Next week or week after that, come to Department of Management Studies, meet me, I'll help you.
Thank you.
Come. Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
For this problem of what you said, India ranks 140 of 170, is the brain drain in India a setback for this? That is, people studying here in India and then going for job to other countries.
I'm not so sure.
And one more question is, what will be the role of youngsters like us to to change the rank from 140 to more lesser number?
Can I be very blunt, young lady? The first question, the answer is I'm not sure. Because I don't know whether it's brain drain or brain gain or brain in the drain. You know, I don't know all this. Okay. I only know this much. I agree to a good extent of to what he said. Our education system is screwed up. The second question of what should I do? Don't let your teachers spoil you. I know teachers are going to hang me for this, but I don't mind. You have the answer? Okay. Rise beyond yourself. Article 51A of the Constitution of India, fundamental duties of citizens of India. Excellence is a fundamental duty of every citizen of India. And excellence means going beyond yourself. Ask your question. Just ask yourself a question whether you are attempting to go beyond yourself. That's the thing. Yeah.
You did talk about freedom, and personal opinion is that already we are very much we've lost quite a bit.
Lost in
Not so subtly by the corporates.
Okay.
Very large ones. My question is, you are talking about innovation, promoting excellence, and particularly you gave a whole series of numbers vis-a-vis our production, our manufacturing capabilities, exports, blah, blah, blah. My question concerns environment and sustainability.
Absolutely.
Who is talking about it?
We have to. We have to strike a balance. Life is about balance, isn't it? Isn't life about balance?
In fact, that's something which I promote. I say that
I'm
the most
completely
difficult
in
thing is
agreement with
balance,
you.
but I don't hear it in forums like this.
I'm completely in agreement with you because people are talking about sustainability, but we have to go beyond word affinity to sustainability to some kind of practice. It is difficult, it is challenging, but there are ways in which you can move. You've raised an absolutely critical point. The point I'm making is that when you are not powerful, people override you in many ways. This happens even at home, sir. Forget about it. Happens on the street. So it's very, very important that people first become powerful. But I balance power by using the word peaceful. At the same time, you should be most peaceful also. So people must know that you have the power to work and the power to do something, but at the same time, you're an extremely peaceful person. Most probably, they may listen to what you're saying. The point now is debate. Development versus environment. Take a case in hand. In this campus is facing this case right now. March, the National Green Tribunal Southern Bench ruled stop work. On the other hand, the government said increase student strength by 54%. So this campus has grown from my student days around 2,500, 2,800 to 9,000. What are the implications for infrastructure? Academic infrastructure, living infrastructure. I mean, you just grow. Of course, one can always give methods like have tents under the trees, etc. But that's fine. It's nice to talk about all this. We have to be realistic also. So there are many challenges to what we are doing. Striking this balance itself is a challenge. And I think one has to approach this whole subject philosophically also. So it cannot be independent. You have one Ministry of Environment and Forest, they'll take care of that. They'll have another Ministry of Industry which will take care of that. The point is integration is lacking. So that's why we are losing on synergy. Where there is no integration, synergy is not possible. Basic truths which are not being practiced. This is the problem. That's why I said individually brilliant and collectively mediocre. Simple words. Let people understand the meaning of sustainability. Let people understand the meaning of balance in a certain way. Share it, have shared clarity, and accordingly live their lives. That is the answer. But I want to share with you something. You know Professor Abdul Kalam's open statements that India has become technologically creative whenever embargoes were there. It's a statement he has made in public quite a few times. Any time we were denied technology, we had superior technology coming out. And he has given evidence of this. He's not talking in the air, he has given hard evidence. The point is there is brilliance, it must be nurtured, and I would say instead of worrying about all the brilliant Indians outside, let's talk about what we can do inside in as balanced a manner as possible, but not compromising on becoming powerful. If we have to become a powerful nation, we have to have peaceful weapon systems. I know it's a oxymoron, but it's possible, okay? So that everybody knows you cannot meddle around with India. It's absolutely important. Any country in the world must know that we cannot meddle around, mess around with India. And then you work for other ideals like equality, freedom, etc. And of course, the larger idea of balance with nature, which I totally subscribe. But we have to answer those questions, okay? So my point is, while we do, you have done some diagnosis, I've done some diagnosis, we're just sharing it here. There are lots of diagnoses we have to share, get shared clarity. We should not be a nation where people are individually clear and a nation of confusion. Doesn't work, no? So that also happens in small teams and groups. In families it happens. Individually clear, collectively confused. So we have to grow out of those paradoxes. That is the point I'm making. Question is, what can we do here? What can you and I do? At least my job is as a teacher to tell you, this is the situation, this is the official picture. My job is to attempt to inspire you. Understand the difference between a coach and a player. I want to stop with this. Please understand, Dronacharya cannot become Arjuna, and neither can Arjuna become Dronacharya. Please understand this. You need the two of them to win the battle. And they have to work with integration. I hope you got the point. So if you are Arjuna, we'll work. Okay? Sir. Sir, that is available in the news, my dear young man. You are talking of Microsoft CEO. Do you know who the chief of National Science Foundation USA is, which is 100 times Microsoft? It's 100 Microsofts put together. That's also an Indian. And in case there are IIT students, they must know it's an IIT Madras alumnus. So please don't point like that. I did agree that there are brilliant Indians outside. The point is, we must also recognize that. Point is, we must get fired up. We must get inspired. We must change. We must change. We must go beyond what the education system alone gives you. Use your 24 hours per day very, very carefully. I'll ask you one question. Let's stop with this. In your case, please tell me whether your mobile phone controls you or you control your mobile phone. That's all. Thank you very much.